King Solomon is remembered as the wisest man who ever lived. But what if one of history's greatest kings wasn't destroyed by an enemy? What if he destroyed himself? Behind the gold, the temple, and the legendary wisdom lies a story of political executions, hundreds of wives, forbidden alliances, and a kingdom that collapsed after his death. Welcome to a Vale of Crime. When King David grew old, Israel faced a succession crisis. Several of David's sons believed that they should inherit the throne. One of them, Adonijah, even declared himself king before David died. The kingdom stood on the edge of civil war. David publicly declared Solomon his successor. After David's death, Solomon moved quickly to eliminate threats to his rule. Adonijah was eventually executed after Solomon viewed his request to marry Abishag, David's former attendant, as another attempt to claim the throne. Other rivals, including Joab and Shimei, were also put to death after violating Solomon's commands. His reign began with stability, but it was secured through many ruthless political decisions. Early in his reign, Solomon became famous for something else: wisdom. According to the Bible, God appeared to Solomon in a dream and offered him anything he desired. Instead of wealth or military power, Solomon asked for wisdom to govern his people. God granted that request. Soon, stories of Solomon's judgment spread across the ancient world. His most famous decision involved two women claiming to be the mother of the same boy. Solomon ordered the child be divided in half. One woman agreed. The other begged the king to give the child away instead. Solomon immediately recognized the true mother. His reputation as the wisest king on earth was born. Wisdom brought influence. Influence brought wealth. Israel entered an era of prosperity unlike anything that it had experienced before. Trade expanded across the region. Luxury goods poured into Jerusalem. Foreign rulers sought alliances with Solomon. His kingdom became one of the wealthiest in the ancient Near East. Then came Solomon's greatest achievement, the first temple. For 7 years, thousands of laborers cut stone, hauled cedar from Lebanon, and overlaid sacred rooms with gold. The temple became the center of worship for ancient Israel and one of the most significant buildings in biblical history. But magnificent projects came with enormous costs. The palace, the temple, massive fortifications, government buildings, all these required money and labor. The Bible describes heavy taxation and compulsory labor imposed throughout the kingdom. While Jerusalem flourished, many ordinary people carried the burden. Then there were Solomon's marriages. The Bible records that he had 700 wives and 300 concubines. Many historians believe those numbers may be symbolic of extraordinary royal excess, but the biblical account presents them as evidence of Solomon's immense political reach. These marriages were rarely about love. They were treaties. Each foreign princess represented another alliance, another kingdom, another political advantage. But every alliance came with consequences. Many of Solomon's wives continued worshiping the gods of their homelands. The Bible says Solomon allowed altars and shrines dedicated to foreign deities to be built near Jerusalem. For many Israelites, this wasn't simply politics. It was a betrayal of God's covenant. The king, once praised for faithfulness, had begun compromising the very beliefs that legitimized his throne. According to biblical narrative, Solomon's heart slowly turned away from God. His greatest strength, wisdom, could not protect him from his own choices. As Solomon grew older, dissatisfaction spread throughout the kingdom. Heavy taxes, forced labor, regional resentment. The prosperity of the capital came at a price. Beneath the surface, division was growing. When Solomon died in the 10th century BC, those divisions exploded. His son, Rehoboam, inherited the throne. But instead of easing the people's burdens, he threatened even harsher rule. The northern tribes rebelled. Israel split into two kingdoms, Israel in the north, Judah in the south. The united monarchy was over. Biblical writers viewed the division as more than politics. They believed Solomon's compromises had planted the seeds of the kingdom's collapse. The man remembered for wisdom also became a warning about pride, excess, and unchecked power. Today, Solomon remains one of history's most debated rulers. Archaeologists continue discussing the size and power of his kingdom. Historians debate which details of the biblical account are literal history, theological interpretation, or royal tradition, but few dispute the lasting influence of his story. King Solomon built a temple that became legendary. He accumulated unimaginable wealth. He earned a reputation for wisdom that still survives thousands of years later. Yet history also remembers the wives, the politics, the compromises, and the kingdom that fractured after his reign. Sometimes the greatest downfall doesn't come from an enemy. It comes from the choices made while sitting on the throne. If you enjoyed this episode of A Veil of Crime, subscribe for more historically accurate stories about the crimes, conspiracies, mysteries, and darker side of history. And if you'd like to help support the channel, you can buy me a coffee using the link in the description. Until next time, some of history's darkest crimes were committed long before anyone thought to write them down.